big scenes.
Yeah, there might be some stuff that they put on the DVD. You know, the truth is, you know, we shot this movie in 24 days, and we didn't have the budget to shoot. It's incredible. We actually dipped into our pockets to buy a 25th day. And we only shot with one camera. Now, we had like 8 days where we had 2 cameras budgeted for larger scenes, like the breakdancing scene and stuff. The reason I'm bringing that up is because people sometimes ask us, is there a lot of improv? But most of it is scripted. We obviously, any of the actors, especially Sam and Maya and Allison, who all have a little bit of improv background, would bring something to the table, and there's plenty of little hints. I mean, plenty of great things that they've added to the dialogue. But I bring that up because then we don't have as many outtake. You know, it's not as outtake. You know, like a typical sort of like, oh, you know, mess up, because we had to keep moving. And these actors are so great because we didn't even have a table read for the movie because all of them were coming from different projects. So we had a table read in the middle of production. So we shot everything in the water park, and then Steve and Tony and Allison and all the other people showed up. So we had a table read at one of our beach houses that we were renting on the main strip there. And to be honest with you, it's like, that was the most wonderfully emotional moment because we hadn't heard the movie out loud. I mean, Santa already shot all of his stuff, so it was easy breezy for him. But it was just a wonderful moment. But anyway, I bring that up only because we were such a fast-paced thing. But that said, you know, always some fun stuff. And Allison, you know, some scenes we had to cut just for the dialogue that'll be on the DVD. There's some fun stuff with Allison and stuff.
So 24 days, not enough time to do a lot of improv.
No, well, it's hard with one camera because most of those movies that are doing all improv, not all, doing a lot of good improvised takes, they're usually running 2, maybe 3 cameras at the same time because you're able to capture both sides of us. So if I'm improvising and we're picking up your reactions to that, rather than, not that we can't do this, but it becomes labor to do all improv on your side, then write down all the bits we want to hit again, and then put the camera over there, and then you set me up for all the improv that's not technically improv anymore because we know it's coming. So most of those are shooting 2, 3 cameras at the same time, which is nice. It's a luxury. The budget.
Yes.
A lot of great actors in this movie. How were you able to get them all together? And can you talk about the budget of this movie? Because obviously, you know, you said you had some limitations. How were you able to get them all together? And how are you able to get a movie like this made in this day and age?
So, yeah, there's a few things there. So, obviously, great cast. Toni Collette, and Allison Janney, and goes on, Anna Sophia Robb, goes on and on. How did you get them together? And how do you explain how you get a movie like this made in a climate where, really, frankly, it's a bunch of $100 million movies that may or may not work?
It is, the start, we were under $5 million, like 4.7 was our budget. I go back, just to tell the story about, it was 8 years ago we wrote it, and it was almost going to get ready to get made like this, like Sean Levy was going to direct it. He had a small window before Night Museum 2 had to start production. We didn't make that window, all the cards didn't come together, so he dropped out, and we had the project back. We took it to another studio, a different director, then the economy turned. That studio needed another studio to help you. That studio said, we'll make the movie with these 2 actors, who are all fine actors, but you're like, they're not right for the part. So Nat and I had to make a decision. Either we had to sit on the script for 3 more years before it came out on turnaround, or make it with these 2 actors. So we said, you know what, we're going to sit on it for 3 years. So we sat on it for 3 years. Wow. Meanwhile, Descendants, all that stuff was happening. So then when we got the script back, we said, let's do it more grassroots. So what we did was we went through all the proper channels to go through representation, but we started writing letters. So we wrote any personal letter we could to these actors. And the best case example is Steve Carell, who was the last piece to come aboard. Steve came aboard, we wrote him, he said, I love the script, I'd love to do it, but I spend my summers with my family, so there's just no way, or I'll become a Trent to my own family. So then we said, well, someone just said, one of his, I give props to his reps, because they said, I would push it a little harder. So we wrote him back and said, what if we shoot where you vacation. And he vacations in Marshfield, which is the South Shore of Boston, every year. And he said, yes. So we literally shot on the street where he vacationed. So he just rode his bike. But it really was that whole thing of like going like, at some point you just have to stop, you get a no, you find a different way around it. And so this movie really, even though it took forever, it really just became down to being as inventive as you could get. Tony reached out to us about the part, so it was like, we had this weird lunch with her where we had already heard that she's very interested, and then Matt and I are thinking, well, how long do we wait to have lunch till we just say yes, because why wouldn't we want her? And so we had this awkward lunch with her, and then she went to the bathroom, and I said, this feels weird, let's just tell her, would you like to do the movie? She comes back, we go, you want to do the movie? She goes, why did you wait so long? It was like we were on a date with someone, and you were waiting to like initiate a kiss or something. That's what it felt like, this awkwardness. And then Sam, sorry, it's a long-winded answer, but this is all those people over there. So Sam, we heard that he was interested. So Nat and I were in a car at the time, and he lives in New York, and we're in LA. And so we pulled over to the side of the road because we're going to have a meeting with him on the phone to talk about the part. And Nat and I are getting really prepped. We're like, we have to, we're first-time directors. We got to convince him of that. We got to convince him of the part. We got to tell him why it's perfect part. Preparing for our A game. And we get on the phone, and he's like, hey guys, hey. And we're like, hey. Sammy goes, yeah, it's really good, yeah. Yeah, let's do this. And we're like, just hang up. We didn't want to ruin it. But it really was the most un-Hollywood moment. He's like, yeah, let's do it. You guys gonna read at the table? Yeah. You guys like improv? Well, yeah, all right, let's do this. And it was the most, and that's very much him, because I think he does chase material rather than, Sam's one of those great actors who deserves to be much more sung than he is, even though he's in everything and you remember him. But he is one of those actors who doesn't chase the checks, he chases the projects. So that's very admirable of him. So anyway, that's a long other answer to that, but that's pretty much how it all came to be.
One more, yes.
Okay, about almost 2
He's
years
taking
ago.
copious notes, so.
Almost 2 years ago, Judy Greer was in this theater.
Ah.
For the Descendants.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about a scene that's done on the beach. And in the scene, she said boat instead of motorboat. And Alexander Payne cut the scene and made her retake it because he wanted it word for word, exactly as it was written. I want to know, was that something you had stipulated when you did the script with him? Or was that something he just was something of his own desire? And how does that make you feel as a writer that he was determined just to do it word for word as you had written it?
Okay, let me see.
Yeah.
Judy Greer,
Yeah, got that part.
was fantastic.
Yes.
Was here when we were playing The Descendants. And she didn't get a line quite right on the beach. She said boat instead of motorboat. And Alexander Payne said, no, you must do it correctly. And they had her do it over again. How does that, am I going the right way?
Yes.
How does that make you feel as a writer?
Yeah. We told Alexander specifically, if Judy changes one word, if just Judy, George is fine. Shailene, fine, but not Judy. No. Well, obviously I should say, because it's Alexander, Nat, and I obviously share credit on the screenplay. So, and we were only there for 5 days, and once the movie turns over into the director's hands, it really is his movie. So, I think at that moment, I don't know if I can't say that he's a stickler that we would ever say that, because we wouldn't. But my guess is that he really wanted motorboat because the first scene is on specific this motorboat, and motorboat is very important because the mother races boats, and she's sort of a tomboy-esque, and it's a dangerous thing that she does, which is why she's in the wreck. So I have a feeling he was just wanted to make sure it was very clear, that kind of motorboat connection,
I want to ask one last thing before we wrap up. So when you won the Academy Award, and we put this on our Facebook page, Angelina Jolie was the one who announced you
Leg,
as
yeah.
the winner.
Mhm.
And Angelina Jolie struck a really interesting pose where she had a leg sort of out of her dress
Mhm.
and very sort of theatrical and
Yes.
memorable.
Mhm.
You went up when you won your Academy Award,
Yes.
and I don't know if it was maybe a tribute or was it mockery?
No.
You sort of stood the way Angelina
Yes.
Jolie stood.
Well, I know what this leg looks like, and it rivals. No. Many people, even in tux pants. No, you know, what happened was Nat and Alexander and I had been, you know, it had been an up and down thing, you know, as far as like, you know, the award season, you know, won one, then win one. So you just never know. The one thing we knew is that Alexander had asked to sort of speak on our behalf. We spoke first at the Independent Spirit Awards, and he was going to take the lead at the Oscars because he really wanted to address his mom, who he had not addressed during the Sideways, I think, speech or something. The Academy asks you, if you're multiple winners, to designate one person, which no one adheres to, because we watch the show and you see everyone, why wouldn't you? But anyway, we were going to adhere to it. So then when your name gets called up there, and we get up there, it's an out-of-body experience. You're up here watching it. When I got up there, I'm sorry, I talk with my hands, and it's going crazy right now. But I don't know, I got up there and I realized, we're not going to say anything. What if we're never up here again? And before the whole thing happened, you know, Angelina had sort of struck that pose, but sort of chuckled, and like owning the dress. So my brain went to, well, own this moment. So I just stole her stance and put the award on the side of it. And I just had no idea that would become something, you know. Because when we got to the parties, people were like, have you gone online? I'm like, well, I would have gone online. What a weird time to go, I go online. I don't want to celebrate tonight. But that stuff had already started, so no, it wasn't meant to be, and I don't think she took me seriously at all. So I doubt she cared.
Do you think she even noticed?
I don't know. I mean, Brad was. I used his first name. I don't know him, but Brad Pitt was like where that speaker was, and when we went off stage, he was there. He was very nice. He said, "Great job, guys." So I didn't think anything. I mean, I've always heard they don't take themselves kind of seriously, and why would they care what this bald guy with glasses did?
It's incredibly memorable.
Well,
People will remember you.
well, there you go. See, that's what I said. We
Yes.
weren't going to speak, so I had to do something. Uh-oh. Wrap up with this one.
I think I got it back.
Good.
Well, you know, as we say with all independent films, please support independent cinema. It's incredibly important, and I got to say, you know, The Descendants, fantastic. This film, amazing. Writer's Room, fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Community.
You will find it fantastic when you watch it.
I watch it.
That's all right.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you so
Jim
much.
Rash.